It's John Bowden for any Rush fan. This is a must. Rush Fest is happening August 1st and 2nd in Toronto. And there are so many guests this year. It's nice to bring it back to Toronto where you can talk anything about Rush. Questions and answers. Terry Brown's going to be there, their producer. But let me tell you, it's Friday the 1st of August, 2025, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Massey Hall in Toronto. And then on Saturday the following day, 2 to 10 p.m. at TD Massey Hall in Toronto. A lot of artists are going to be there who do Rush songs. Jonathan Dinklage toured with Rush as part of the Clockwork Angels String Ensemble. That's on Friday. Jacob Moon, he's known for his viral cover of Subdivisions. Chris Herron, guitarist for the progressive rock band Tiles. Toronto instrumental virtuoso David Barrett's going to be there. Addie Burke, Moving Pictures UK, the official house band, featured in Rush Fest Brazil. Kevin J. Anderson, acclaimed sci-fi author and Neil Peart's writing partner. And on Saturday, you got 2112 from Burlington, a tribute band for Rush. Permanent Waves from Toronto, they're always a crowd favorite. Then Rush Fest Canada All-Star Band. And return performances from Jacob Moon, David Barrett, Nina Di Gregorio, and more. And of course, we wouldn't do a video unless we have interviews with two of the organizers. First, Steve Brown, a lifelong musician from Scotland who launched Rush Fest in Scotland in 2014. And Paul Bolio is the founder of the Canadian music scene, and of course, a longtime Rush historian. Let's talk Rush Fest on Rock History Music.
I've been doing Rush Fest Scotland for the last 12 odd years, an annual fan event in Scotland. There are enough Rush fans in Scotland and the UK and Europe to justify and grow this every year. Paul's been a good buddy for best part 13 years coming up now, and he's come across to almost every one bar one of our events, and we just thought let's take it home. Let's go to the motherland and the iconic Massey Hall. So this is why we're now we're taking it to that mighty stage where, of course, Rush played themselves a few times. And everything we do here is for charity. We've donated over $250,000 Canadian dollars to charities, mainly in the UK, cancer charities, in the name of Rush, thanks to the generosity of Rush fans. So once again, Rush Fest Canada, all profits will be going to Brain Cancer Research Fund at Sunnybrook in Toronto.
Tell me about your history, Paul.
Well, my history, I guess, goes way back to my first record and my first concert in '75. It was Fly By Night. Then my first concert in '76, Caress of Steel. So I go back a long ways. And I guess if we want to get to the history of the total amount of shows I saw over the years, it was 114. Yeah, including the last three.
I think I managed 15.
People have their opinions, and everyone's right when they talk about their music and what they like or don't like. And I started realizing the fan base of certain bands. Are we going to let you in our club? I found the Rush fans were very friendly. The Peart thing, especially the Peart thing, I was surprised at how many people didn't know how to say Neil Peart. I said it wrong in the beginning. Peart.
Yeah.
But there's that thing that happens with these kind of these fans. They're like rabid fans, Rush fans. They know their stuff, I think, most of the time. What is it about Rush fans?
It's our just total love for the band and everything about them, I would say. Just how their friendship, like there was no animosity among them. They decided at an early stage to split everything 3-3-3, right? So, I mean, there was never this like, oh, this guy's making more money than me. And, then you get into the music. The music, wow, where do you find like three artists that can play their instruments that well and play those instruments together? And then the lyrics, right? I over the last couple of years, we brought some of the family members over to Scotland, Nancy and Judy Peart and Sally Silvjanovich this year. And the thing with that is that they all came away saying, wow, just how many people just want to come up and say hi to them to express how much they love their brothers. Right, to how much it meant to them. And I think that's the underlying cause. There's a lot of people aren't just Rush fans. It's part of their life. It's been with them ever since they became a Rush fan, and probably will be forever. And we're finding that now. Like, look at the people that will come out to Rush Fest Scotland, to people who used to come out to RushCon, people hopefully coming out to Rush Fest Canada. It's like there's a love. There's a camaraderie. It's a family, right? It really is, I do believe, yeah.
Yeah, completely. We gig. I play in the band Moving Pictures, I have done for the last 10, 12 years, but it's only the last 2 or 3 years we've gone full time. And we're getting three generations coming to shows now. And one show we did in Dundee, in Scotland, they're used to putting on all sorts of gigs, rave nights, all the rest of it. And it was actually the bar staff at the end of the night told us, like, your crowd is very wholesome. Which is a great way to describe the Rush crowd. No trouble, friendly, polite, courteous, wholesome. I think that's a great way to describe them. And Paul's right; it is a family. It totally is a family. And now, thanks to Paul, I've met, and all our friends here in Scotland have met the Rush family members. And as you said, it's just a joy. There's so much joy in the room when these people are with us. It's just and in these times, joy is a great thing wherever you can find it.
Tell me about this year. Tell me what's happening in Toronto. Your guests.
Well, Friday night, we're playing the big Sacred Hall venue, Massey Hall, and Steve's band will be the host tribute band, and we'll have several people like Chris Heron. Chris Heron is from a band called The Tiles that Terry Brown produced all his records, and Alex Lifeson, Kim Mitchell, Alana Miles, Hugh signed into artwork. So, I mean, he's got a very strong connection to Rush. His band also opened up for Dream Theater. So he's a prog guy, fits in with all that type of stuff. And he'll be sitting in with it. We have Jonathan Dicklich, the Clockwork Angels String Ensemble. He was one of the key members. He came over to Scotland 2 years ago and played, and it was everybody just loved it. To have the actual violins and the cello player from Clockwork Angel String Ensemble playing with a band that, some people may not have seen it on the actual live Rush shows. They may have just be seeing this for the first time, and it was well received. So he's coming over. He's going to do some own versions of some of the songs and, play along with Steve's band. We have
Nina Di Gregorio.
But she's unbelievable. So Alex Lifeson actually pointed her out to me, and his sister Sally said, check this girl out. And she plays electric violin, and she has a whole band called Femmes of Rock. And that's what they do. They go around and they reproduce Van Halen, Rush, Genesis, all that stuff. They're amazing. And so they're going to come out and join us, and should be quite interesting. And we have a couple cool solo type gigs, almost so. Jacob Moon. I don't know if you heard of Jacob Moon. He was the guy who did Subdivisions, and he looped it, and he did it on a rooftop in Hamilton, and it went viral. So when Rush got inducted into the 2010 Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, they actually asked Jacob to come and play that song. It was nominated. So, what a thrill is that? And I was backstage afterwards, and I saw him actually talking to the boys, and he actually got Neil to sing Subdivisions into his mic. So now his big thing is when he's looping and playing it, when it comes up, he'll still play button here, it's Subdivisions. And everybody freaks, right? It's just like, wow, that's Neil, right? So, and it's even more pertinent now, with his passing. We have Andy Berg, he rewrote Red Sector A. And the story behind that is his father was liberated from the concentration camps, and he was 12 years old. And he went into German barracks and found a violin, and he took it. He brought it with him over to North America. And so the song is kind of like, the liberation. And, it's really close to Adi and his family. And actually, Nina will be playing that actual violin when he does his rendition of Red Sector A on Friday night. And Moving Pictures will be doing After Image, their version of After Image, which I won't be too bad for Steve. Take the credit. Take the credit. It was awesome. And their version, it starts off slow, just really instrumental, and you really feel, the lyrics that really stand out, and then they burst right into the full version of it. And so and then we've just got some really cool people coming out. Dave Barrett, another guy who's worked with Alex in Crownlands, so we got a lot of people that are pretty well known in the Rush world and talented, and looking forward to come out and entertain.
And of course, you'll be having chats with Nancy Peart, and also Terry Brown and Hugh Syme will be on.
Kevin Anderson,
those album covers, man. Oh my God.
Yeah. He's a little bit of a genius. and so is Terry.
That's just the Friday night. That's so. And Saturday we've got the smaller TD Music Hall, which is in the same building as a Massey Hall, but it's a slightly smaller room, and we've got that for all day Saturday. So that's going to be more of the same. Jacob's going to do another set for us. Nina will be there again, and but we'll have two other Rush tribute bands from Canada. There's 2112 from Hamilton, who are going to play the full All the World's a Stage set list, and Permanent Waves, also from Toronto. They're going to be headlining on the Saturday. So yeah, so it's like the Friday evening and all day Saturday.
Yeah, and I have a couple more interviews with Kevin Anderson, and yeah, I don't know if you know Kevin. He co-wrote the Clockwork Angel books with Neil, and he's been friends with Neil for 30 plus years. And he also writes this other series of books. What is it? Dune, yeah. So he's a pretty big name. I'm just being sarcastic. He does write the books, the Dune books, ever since Frank Herbert passed.
Mm-hmm.
Frank's son and Kevin have been writing all the Dune novels. So he's a
I'm sure he's
pretty.
involved with Star Wars as well. He rewrote some of the Star Wars.
Oh, I think he did some of those new episodes. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's way up there in the science fiction writing world. So yeah, and he's fascinating man. He's got some great stories. So I'm looking forward to interviewing him and getting, hopefully some cool Neil him relationship stories. And we'll talk to Hugh and Terry about their work with him, and well, the family. What more can you say? Can't get much more personal stories than the sisters of Alex and Neil. So it should be. We've tried to make it not just all the Rush music, but some renditions of Rush songs, and also bring up people that most people wouldn't normally have a chance to see. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been lucky. I've known these people for years, so they're all coming out, and they came over to Scotland, and you'll find that they're unbelievably great people and humble, and just like it seems to me, almost everybody I've met in the Rush camp is like that. They're all quiet. They're all brilliant to what they do, and it's refreshing to know that people that you like to and respected for years are like that.
Interesting timing, 10 years to the day when the band did their last show.
Last show,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's why we chose that date. But once we did that, we thought we don't want to. It's not a celebration. We can't celebrate the last gig. That's how we're going to do this. But as
yeah,
someone pointed out, no, it's just amazing that we're all still so actively still enjoying the band, and there are so many tributes out there, and people still want to, listen to them and go out and see tribute bands around the world. So that's what we're celebrating, the fact that the music is still pertinent, you know?
yeah,
I remember when Lennon died in 1980 on December 8th. I remember the weekend after that, the weekend that came out after that, I was at a party and I was admitting to someone, I'm going, oh, I felt so bad because, first thing I thought of, there won't be a Beatles reunion. And this guy at this party said, you know what? He said, no one wants John dead. It's not about that. But
yeah,
there's something in that message. There's something in there, like with Neil, there's something in there where you can just be satisfied with the music you've got. He says, just try to get a positive message out of it. And, they aren't going to, there's no rush anymore, but there
no,
is because, what else can you leave this huge, and it is a big body of work.
It's a
yeah,
massive repertoire. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
And for them to go out with the garden, and that was done on purpose in 2012 when that album came out, and then they retired in 2015 because Neil just thought, I'm done. It started to hurt him to do the 3 hour sets an evening. And then obviously tragically, we then find out 2 years later, he's diagnosed with glioblastoma. So it's just and as we talked to someone else about this the other day, on his passing, I remember seeing the messages pop up on Facebook and just not believing it. And
yeah,
I was amazed how it affected me. I've never been
yeah,
affected by someone that I never knew. I've been studying his music, playing his music all my adult life, and reading his books and getting to know of the guy. But this is before I knew the family, and this is basically a stranger. But his
yeah,
passing really affected me, and I
yeah,
found that quite whoa, what's that all about?
yeah.
And it just showed how huge his influence was on people that he didn't even know.
Well, yeah, definitely. I'd say one of the worst days I've ever had. I remember actually before the full announcement came out, Alex's sister called me, Sally, and let me know. And I just remember sitting there at my desk, was at work, and I couldn't move. I just kind of sat there and just like, what? And then I looked it up on when the message came out he was gone, and I just went and sat in my car. And Sally called me again just to make sure I was okay, right? Because I'm cracking up now. And yeah, I mean, being a drummer, being a Rush fan, he was a major influence in my life since '75. So I was fortunate enough to meet him a few times. We were not friends like Limelight, and all that stuff. But I mean, there was points where I could talk to him and have conversations. I used to send him a bottle of Macallan every year through Alex, and he would send me his book signed and saying thank you and great taste and all that stuff. And that was really cool. So I have fond memories of that. But yeah, that's the first time ever. I mean, it was just really weird. I just don't know why. It just struck me just like, wow. I didn't feel like doing anything. It was really strange. Yeah.
Uh,
And I had a gig 2 days later. I was depping for another Rush tribute band down in England 2 days after the news broke. And so after the shock, I was still in shock. I messaged the drummer in this other band and just said, "Look, is the gig going ahead?" And his mind was shot as well. I said, "Hold on, I'll message the Geddy." And he came back right away saying, "Yeah, the gig is going ahead. Let's do this." And it was one of the best. I'm so glad we did, because everybody was lost. All the fans were
Yeah.
lost. We came together that night. It was a Sunday night in Wolverhampton near Birmingham, and it was. I'm so glad we did that, because everybody needed that kind of
Yeah.
sort of shared grief. There's no more than to celebrate in the music and commemorate. But yeah, it was very strange. And then within weeks, COVID kicked in. What a strange time. Everything went to
Yeah.
shit when Neil
It was
passed.
almost like punishment, right? It was like,
I know.
contacted Rick Emmett and I said, "How do they keep this under wraps?" He says, "Well, it's Rush. It's a family. They were
Yeah.
asked not to say anything, and because that's the
yeah,
first thing, right? You go, what? Like when Bowie died too. When Bowie died, and I'm not even a Bowie fan. I went, what? Like, what?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
did that come from? Yeah, yeah. And have you read
yeah.
Geddy's book, In My Effing Life? Are you familiar with that? Well, anybody that's not read it, I highly recommend not just reading it, but the audio book version. Geddy narrates it himself, and he's wonderful at all the accents and the voices. And it's a real roller coaster of a read. The one couple of the early chapters talks about his mum and dad and how they survived the concentration camps. And then later, near the end of the book, it describes the last few days with Neil, and then all the fun in between with the whole working with the band. It's an incredible
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I highly recommend. Even if you're not a Rush fan, just check out that book. What an incredible life
And
that
Rush
was.
had that capacity
Yeah. Oh
to
yeah.
always do that, and not all bands can do that because you'd think a band like Rush might take themselves a little too seriously. Nope.
Yeah. Nope,
No,
not at all.
not
Yeah.
at all. Yeah. I think they'll take
Yeah.
themselves seriously when they're at work, when they're gigging or leading up to a gig. It's like, right, now we're at work. Or Paul, you've played golf with Alex a few times. He takes
Yeah.
that very seriously. Yeah.
He does
But yeah,
actually. Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
rest of the time they all enjoy a good goof around.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Neil
Hopefully.
would have
Yeah. Yeah.
been, if Neil's health would have been fine, you think they would have kept going?
That's a good question. I mean, from Alex, he was getting quite a bit of arthritis too, right? So it was a little bit painful for him to do some of the touring. And I think from talking with him, I think they probably would have gone on a bit longer. I
Mhm.
don't know how
Yeah,
much more
they wanted
because
to bring the tour to Europe. They thought they
yeah,
might get a few, because they usually did that. They tour North America, and then during that tour, that's when the European dates would get added. And I think they were all secretly hoping for that. But the minute Neil stood over that meridian at the last, what we now know as the last gig,
yeah,
that was it. That was definitely it. There was no going
yeah,
back. That was Neil saying his farewell. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
and because he just physically he couldn't do it anymore. He could have pushed himself, but he would have started doing himself some serious damage if he'd
yeah.
carried on.
Nothing about Rush. I'm coming up to each one of you guys, and I want three Rush albums. What three albums are you going to represent? Are you going to ask them about their musical taste because Rush they took some journeys. What are you going to say? Quintessential three Rush albums, or can you say three, and why?
Ooh, you go
Three
first,
is
Paul.
tough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew you were going to bail that one on me, right? Yeah. I,
Well,
I would say 2112 because that's what set them all off, and they didn't have to worry about anything more. Then the next four albums, any one of those, you know, Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, Moving Pictures, Permanent Ways, any one of those. And I'd say my last one would be Clockwork Angels because I think that really summed up their entire career in their last effort, right? So I would go anything from the four albums in that one era, 2112 and Clockwork Angels would be mine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you almost took the words right out of my mouth, and I'm not just saying that because my introduction to them was borrowing 2112 and A Farewell to Kings off a friend's big brother. That was about 1982, and then I went to see them do the Signals tour in Edinburgh in 1983, and it just blew my mind. My life had changed, and A Farewell to Kings is still my favorite album. But I've grown to love all the albums now.
Yeah.
And Paul's spot on with the last one, you know. But it would be interesting asking the person that's interested, you know, if you know a bit of their likes already, because then you can maybe point them towards Hold Your Fire, you know, if they're into something that's a bit less heavy. That's why we love Rush, because every couple of albums they change their style, you know. And like Paul said, that Clockwork Angels seem to have just rounded up the whole lot. You know, there's elements of all of their albums in that last one.
I remember a lot of Elton John groups on Facebook, and Elton John was my guy. He was, and you know, I've interviewed all his band members, but now and then I'll talk to someone who says, you know, what is the quintessential second worst Elton John album? Well, Victim of Love, the disco album, but then Leather Jackets is known as the second worst one, and sometimes people say it's the worst one. But listen, and you guys won't be surprised by this, but that means that guy, that was his first Elton John album. So to him, it's interesting. That's Elton John. I mean, I got that with 2112 with a lot of my friends because they bought that one first. I mean, talk about balking the record company. Screw you. We're gonna do what we want to do. That's the ultimate rock and roll. We need to be Rush story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like who does that? I mean, I'm going.
Terry tells that story so well. He says they were sitting there and they decided, and they kind of all put their hands on top of each other and go, "We're going to do it our way," and if we're gone, we're gone. If we're not, and it'll be good, right? So, you know, they all just kind of comrade, just put your hands on top of each other, said, "Let's do it." Yeah, you know, that's pretty cool.
Fly By Night, the single came out. I remember going. First of all, you know, people they divided on this. I love Geddy's voice. I liked Rush. I was a drummer. I could never drum. I'm more of a Rutsy guy, and Rutsy was a great drummer. There's nothing wrong with
it. That's right, John. Yep.
But I when I heard Geddy's voice, that's the thing. I mean, the guitar, obviously, that's such catchy thing what Alex does in the beginning. But when people say, "Oh, I don't like the guy's voice," I'm going, "Well, obviously, many do."
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's up there in the heights with the likes of Robert Plant, you know. So what you guys? Yeah. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate it, mate.
This was a lot of fun.
We'll come to you. We'll come to you. Rushfest Calgary. That's
Calgary.
Thank you very much.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. You too, mate. Thank you very much.
Rushfest is August 1st and 2nd in Toronto. Go to rushfestcanada.ca. Remember, subscribe to our channel, comment on our videos, and share them on social media. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music.